Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Drew Central here. Today we are going to be checking out everything you need to know about dragons in Warcraft. This video is by Platinum World of Warcraft, so check them out and check this video out if you don't want to hear me out. If you guys do like World of Warcraft, please do make sure to like and subscribe because I have so many reactions that I think you guys will enjoy. But without further ado, let's get into it.
You can't get more fantasy than dragons, and
That's true.
sometimes Warcraft is a fantasy universe.
Hey.
Dragons are some of the most powerful beings on Azeroth, who have an extremely in-depth lore that begins all the way back to the very foundation of the world.
Damn.
How did these magnificent beasts come to be? What is their purpose, and what exactly are they doing in the modern day?
Let's find out.
Sit back and let's learn everything you need to know about dragons.
Let's get it. Damn. Hey. Is this related or is this?
The story
Yeah.
begins during the Ordering of Azeroth. The Titan Keepers waged war with the untamed elements on the planet and banished them to their respective elemental planes.
Wow.
But not all of the elements were imprisoned.
Okay.
Some of these rogue elements developed into the first ever proto-dragons.
What?
The majority of the information we know about these ancient times comes from the novel Dawn of the Aspects, and in this book, there is easily one of the most horrifying and monstrous villains that has never really gotten the respect he deserves in-game.
Before we continue, I just want to say shout out to this dude. Please do make sure to subscribe to his channel if you're not, because these edits are kind of insane so far. Who is that?
Galakrond.
Galakrond.
The father of dragons, was a monolithic beast that
wow.
dwarfed the rest of his kind.
I genuinely didn't know about him.
Unquenchable hunger dominated his body, and he suddenly began to terrorize the other dragons.
Okay.
The unthinkable, and started to cannibalize the other proto-dragons.
Oh wait, did I know about him? Because didn't all the dragons end up teaming up against him, and then that formed like the 5
had dramatic
people dragons?
on his body, and he began to develop mutations like limbs and eyes all over his now decaying body. To put in perspective how big Galakrond was, his
big as hell.
had the ability to cause devastating avalanches, and his wings were so large the other dragons would mistake it for thunder.
The sound of his wings hitting the ground would be sticking as thunder.
Also had the
That's
ability
crazy.
to raise slain proto-dragons into undeath, which were called the Not Living, and their bite would infect other dragons who develop similar unrelenting taste for dragon flesh, and yet, no, they're literally zombie dragons.
Yeah, I was about to say zombies. We got zombies in World of Warcraft.
And their surviving proto-dragons teamed up to defeat this gargantuan beast.
Right.
These heroes included the Titan Keeper, Malygos, Nozdormu, Neltharion, Ysera, and Alexstrasza.
Okay, so we just did a little reaction about them. Damn. Buddy was getting folded.
During one of the battles, Tyr's hand
I like these animations.
off by Galakrond. The Titan Keeper would later get a new silver hand as a replacement. This glorious, heroic battle would become legend for the people of Azeroth.
Right.
Tyr's silver hand became the symbol for the Knights of the Silver Hand Paladins thousands and thousands and thousands of years later.
Yeah. That's crazy that dragons ruled Azeroth at one point.
Galakrond would later be defeated by the team of proto-dragons when Malygos flew inside of Galakrond's mouth with a giant boulder and freezed it in his throat. Then
Shut up,
Neltharion
pufferfish.
flew inside his mouth and blasted a zombie dragon down his throat to push the boulder in further. Because Galakrond has little tiny proto-dragon arms, they were just too small to perform CPR on himself, and he choked to death and died.
That's how he died?
Kind of a crazy and strange death for the biggest dragon in Warcraft history, huh?
Weren't they all seen as like the heroes of this though? He just choked and died. I mean, I guess they did, they fought him.
The final rest
Kind of crazy though.
The father of dragons can still be found in the frozen tundra of Dragonblight. But the funny thing is,
I didn't know that.
Galakrond has a bunch of more screen time in Hearthstone compared to World of Warcraft, but maybe we'll see that change in a future expansion.
Oh, I didn't know I thought those were two separate games. I didn't know they were connected.
Displaying their awesome power, the Titan Keepers were impressed by the 5 proto-dragons that defeated Galakron. The raw power of the Titans was infused into these 5 proto-dragons.
Okay, yeah. No. Never mind. Yeah, they totally killed him, but he just so happened to choke.
Power Ranger defenders of Azeroth and protect the planet from any future threats.
Hell yeah.
All of the Keepers
That's
agreed
fine.
to strengthen these proto-dragons, except for Odin, because he's kind of an asshole.
Bear.
But they did it anyways. Eonar,
So will Odin get mad at that?
empowered Alexstrasza and Ysera to protect all living creatures.
Word?
Norgannon, the Titan of Magic, empowered Malygos to protect the powerful arcane that dwelled across Azeroth. Amenthul, High Father of the Pantheon, empowered Nozdormu to guard the very fabric of time and space. And finally, Khazgaroth, the Titan Shaper of Worlds, gave Neltharion the power over the earth and whatever dwelled beneath. With their
Dangerous
powers
power to have right there.
This council of beings called the Aspects became the first ever fully fledged dragons to ever grace Azeroth.
That's
And
so
now
cool.
It's their mission to be the world's eternal defenders.
Hey. Would it go on eternally though?
This power in the sky,
Nope.
there was a rare celestial event called the Embrace.
What's that?
Where Azeroth's 2 moons embraced one another. The only time a dragon can be transformed into an aspect is during this event, which
A
only
solar
happens
eclipse,
over
basically?
430 years.
Wow. That's a lot longer wait.
Next, the Keepers helped forge the dragons a sanctuary called Wimrest Temple.
Right?
This giant tower would serve as a meeting place for all of the dragonflights and be the heart of dragon culture.
They just all chilling there.
Parts of dragon culture is something called a Visage Day. Visage Day is when a dragon comes to age and they perform a ceremony atop the Wimrest Temple to choose their humanoid form. Dragons have the ability to transform into any of the races.
That's a question I actually had last video. I was like, can every dragon turn into a human, or was it like just these 5? So no, every single human can. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Races across the planet to make sure they aren't doing anything nefarious.
Gotcha.
Or they just do it for practical reasons. And these dragons knew how to transform into these races before they even existed because, you know, bronze dragon flight and timey-wimey time travel stuff.
A lot
Okay?
of, yeah.
But here's the thing. Dragons are not just limited to humanoid forms. They can turn into anything.
What?
Anything. There's this one part in the Dawn of the Aspects book where Alexstrasza just disguises herself as a giant-ass tree.
Right, shut up, regular show. Wait, so do they get the powers of the thing they're turning into, though? Or can they just, like basically shapeshift?
Okay, now let's go through each of these dragon flights in more detail and talk about exactly what they do. Starting with the red dragon flight and the tree transforming queen of dragons herself, Alexstrasza.
Is that like the dragon of life?
And the cycle of life is reborn anew.
Yeah.
The red dragon flight are the protectors of all life on Azeroth.
Okay.
This means that they're the ones to deal with any dangerous, overwhelming threats on the planet.
That's
they
dope.
also restore devastated lands and protect ancient artifacts.
Whew.
One of the special abilities they have is that their fiery breath can either bring horrible destruction or
Yeah, we've seen that.
life. We can
That
see
is
the
so
healing
cool.
effects of the fire firsthand
Wow.
in the Wrathgate cinematic, where they scorched the Alliance commander Bolvar Fordragon with their healing flames.
That's insane.
Doesn't Bolvar look healed? Just ignore the horrific charring all over his body, seared flesh beyond.
So this is why I actually watched this video, because I knew about the history of the beginning of the dragons, like all the stuff that went down previously. But I kind of wanted to see, like, get into depth on, like, each of these dragons, like, powers and, like, what they do and kind of the later stuff.
Recognition.
So this is cool.
He's healed. Okay?
I did guess it was the Dragon
To
of
this
Life,
day,
so
the
that's
Red
dope.
Dragonflight and their Dragon Queen continue to watch over all life on Azeroth and protect it from certain death.
Before battle, I always assure my forces that through the fire and the flames, we'll carry on.
Hey. Bro, what the hell?
Time may pass, but
Are you the dream
The
dragon?
dragons of life are called the green dragonflight, who you don't see very often when
Wait, so they're all the dragons of life?
exploring Azeroth. That's because this dragonflight mainly resides within the ethereal
okay.
plane known as the Emerald Dream. This plane of existence is one of flourishing life that represents the world of Azeroth if it was never altered by intelligent beings. One of the
That's
special
fire.
abilities green dragons have is they got that melatonin dragon breath that has the ability to put their enemies to sleep. Green dragons try to
Damn,
avoid
stop by my house every night, bruh.
ability and pacify their enemies rather than kill them. That
That's
being
cool.
said, in the dream, the green dragonflight works alongside the druids to control the ebb and flow of nature and protect it from a horrifying presence.
Alright. That dream world is so
Sickening
cool.
corruption called the Emerald Nightmare constantly festers throughout the dream. This twisted dark magic alters life into a horrific mockery of itself and brings only madness and corruption. The origin of this dark power comes from the old gods and Xavier, their lord, who orchestrates the spreading of corruption across the dream.
That's not
All
good.
of the hostile green dragons we see in-game from classic WoW
Wow.
to modern day have pretty much all been corrupted by the nightmare.
So they're literally just there to corrupt the
Was
dream.
cursed by the nightmare, and in Legion, she was put down by the player characters.
Wait, so the green dragon's dead? Oh, but we knew that. Wow. It's weird how everything just clicks. Cause I be watching these in like a weird order. Wow. But are you
The
chilling?
Dragon aspect would return in the Shadow
Yeah.
expansion in the Zone of Ardenweald, which is like the Emerald Dream, but for dead creatures. And she helps Tron to fight Sylvanas and stuff.
That's dope. Sylvanas did not give a damn. Who's next? Damn.
I will teach you ignorant children just how little you know of magic.
The
Okay.
Blue Dragonflight, led by Malygos, is an enclave of dragons committed to protecting the use of magic on Azeroth and making sure it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. Malygos and his Blue
Makes
Dragonflight
sense.
went dormant for thousands and thousands of years after a major defeat I'll talk about later in this video during the War of the Ancients. And the dragon aspect was weakened, depressed, and a little bit insane. But then again, who isn't?
Fair. Oh, damn,
Malygos
Frosty out
would
here.
fully regain his power and sanity during the events told in the comic book series Shadowwing.
Shadowwing.
Of books with
Gotcha.
just some one.
Yo,
In
chill.
the series, Terragosa, one of the members of the Blue
Buddy's down bad.
brings some nether drakes to the Blue Dragonflight domain called the Nexus in hopes of balancing the magical energies inside of them. Instead,
Somebody was telling me to read these. Should I do a stream reading these?
these
I don't
nether
know.
dragons try and take over the Nexus.
It actually
and
looks really
Malygos
good.
Eats all of them, which then restores his sanity and his power. After spending 10,000 years dormant, Malygos realized that he really wasn't doing a good job of protecting the magic across Azeroth.
Wow.
Many mortals on the planet had been abusing the power he was supposed to protect, and had
Not
summoned
cool,
the
bro.
Burning Legion on Azeroth multiple times and fractured the world in the process.
Not cool.
Malygos acted swiftly and started to divert all of the magic across Azeroth's ley lines and suck them up into the Nexus.
No.
This violent siphoning of magic had dramatic effects on Azeroth's world soul and caused irreparable damage. Furthermore,
Like what?
The mages of Dalaran noticed that their spells did not have the power they once had. You see, this was Malygos's biggest mistake, getting between a mage and their magic. The Kirin Tor mages said, "Fuck you, you goddamn scaly son of a bitch!"
Uh-huh.
Teleported their entire city from Hillsbrad foothills and into the air above Crystal Song Forest.
Oh, that's
These mages
interesting.
Then put their war against the Lich King on hold and teamed up with the red, bronze, and green dragonflights and the Horde and the Alliance and started the Nexus War. While Malygos
Wow, I genuinely didn't know they turned on the blue dragon. But, so was he just trying to keep the magic to himself? What was that all about?
may have had some valid criticism.
I mean, I get he wasn't doing good, but so he was just gonna take the magic? But for what?
about the mortals on Azeroth.
That's it. That's
Destroying
interesting.
the world while trying to keep them
This
as
is a
they
legit
were,
boss fight in the
there's
game.
No way to solve the problem, and he was defeated.
That'll
in
be
a
fun.
domain called the Eye of Eternity.
Unthinkable! The mortals will destroy everything. My sister.
You might be onto something.
Have you
I did what I had to, brother. You gave me no alternative. And so
Yo,
ends the
why'd
Nexus
you try to take all the
war.
magic?
This resolution pains me deeply, but the destruction, the monumental loss of life had to end.
Oh,
Regardless of Malagos's recent transgressions, I
wow.
will mourn his loss.
So he's killing
I
people.
won't. Check out the sick new dragon mount I got. Cool. The blue dragonflight then had another aspect.
Hey, yo, might have to kill bro too. Like, we get a nice mount.
Leader called Caligos for a brief moment in time, but now in the modern day, the blue dragonflight's numbers have dwindled to such a low amount that the flight was abandoned altogether. The surviving dragons went their separate ways and are no longer unified by a single cause.
Gotcha. What is next? The yellow dragon.
Time is a tangled web.
Fair.
Try not to dwell on all the loose ends.
Real.
Nosdormu, the Lord of Time, and the Bronze Dragonflight have the ability to travel through time to the past, present,
he's bronze?
and future. Their ultimate mission is to maintain the true timeline on Azeroth. Whatever that means. Generally, the Bronze Dragonflight does not involve themselves in events on Azeroth unless they are absolutely needed. Some
Makes
examples
sense.
include when Nosdormu
Bro's literally running time.
the Kaldari Elves' eternal life, or when the Bronze Dragonflight played a role in the War of the Shifting Sands.
Ooh. Some of this stuff just looks so interesting. There's literally a whole history.
Bronze Dragonflight's real enemy is the Infinite Dragonflight. This is a flight of dragons corrupted by the old gods and are trying to manipulate the very fabric of time and space for their dark masters to be victorious. There's also an infinite
Weird.
dragon pirate called Time Cat and Hooktail. This
Nice.
was added in Shadowlands, and I will not elaborate further. The leader of the
Okay.
Infinite Dragonflight is a dragon named Muruzond, who's actually Nosdormu from the future. You see, since Nosdormu can see everything past, present, and future,
Yeah?
he can also see his own death. Muruzond is a future version of himself who is trying to subvert his own death by destroying the true timeline and helping the old gods in the process.
So doesn't that mean, like, no matter what he does, he's going to become that?
You can see the Infinite Dragonflight try and disrupt the
Maybe.
timeline firsthand in the Caverns of Time dungeons, like
That's
Escape
so
from
weird.
Cold, the Black Morass, and the Culling of Strathhome.
Wow, so he
finally
disappears
defeat
at a bunch of different
Muruzond
parts in the game.
End Time Dungeon, which is a future version of Azeroth that will exist if the old gods win. This
Gotcha.
is also a good time to mention that Nosdormu and Muruzond are both voiced by Martin Sheen, who is a famous actor from these films, and he also has the most over-the-top, hilarious line delivery ever from Muruzond.
Let me hear it.
Powers of the hourglass do nothing to me.
The powers of the hourglass do
Nothing to me.
With help from the player characters,
Yo, voice
Muruzond
acting
is
might be hella
defeated.
fun.
You know not what you have done.
No.
Fool, what I have seen.
Honestly, you might have deserved to
At
die.
last it has come to pass.
But
The moment of my demise. The loop is closed.
okay, so that's
Herself will cause no more harm.
wow. Okay, so that stopped the loop.
In time, I will fall to madness.
Oh no, it didn't.
And you, heroes, will vanquish me. The cycle will repeat.
That's so
So
interesting.
it goes.
I was about to ask a question, but I'm sure like there's 100% an explanation. I was gonna say, well, how does the past version of himself? How is there a new version of him that comes in and fights him? But I'm guessing he finds a way to go back to the past or something.
Also, in
Time
this
travel be
future,
confusing no matter what universe it's
version
in.
of Azeroth, there's a dragon impaled on the Wimrus Temple. And yeah, maybe we should talk about that guy, huh?
Sure.
Let's jump all the way back to when the dragons first got their powers.
Yeah.
You know, while the other aspects got to enjoy being the protectors of life, taking naps in the Emerald Dream, controlling the flows of powerful magic, and traveling through time and space, you know what Neltharion, Guardian of the Earth, had to do?
Something not good.
Sit in a cave.
Oh.
Bored as hell.
Damn.
Furthermore, having the powers of an aspect was a gift, but also a burden.
So he became
The
a
force
villain out of
Azeroth's
boredom.
earth constantly weighed down on Neltharion. He could feel every single stone press upon his body, and the
How?
insurmountable pressure became overwhelming. This weight was his burden to bear alone, and ultimately, he found it to be too much.
Wow, he cracked. This makes me go back to the beginning. Shout out the pen I just dropped. This makes me go back to the beginning and realize, like, that one dude who didn't want to give the dragons the power might have been right.
The Earth Warders seeked relief from this immense suffering, and that is when the whispers of the old gods, imprisoned deep within the earth, invaded his very soul. It was the old gods that could free Neltharion from this burden, and not only that, he could also be granted powers beyond his imagination if he served them. He could
Why?
create a world where only his black dragonflight dominated Azeroth.
Evil never wins, bro.
Neltharion's schemes would not come to fruition until the events of the War of the Ancients.
Okay.
When the Burning Legion first invaded Azeroth. With an ancient artifact called the Dragon Soul.
The Dragon Soul.
Neltharion convinced the other dragons to funnel a portion of their power into the disc so that it could be used as a powerful weapon against the demons that invaded Azeroth.
Yeah. But he uses it against them, right?
But when it was time to actually use the disc against the demons,
But
Neltharion said
Uh-oh.
he used the Dragon Soul to blast demons, night elves, and dragons
Anything he
alike.
could.
The blue dragonflight surrounded the crazed Earth Warder.
Yeah, we've seen
Paladins
this.
tried to reason with him, but it was futile. One of the blue dragons struck by the Dragon Soul was named Sindragosa, who was hit so hard by the blast she flew halfway across the world and landed in Northrend.
Is she alive?
To be resurrected by the Lich King, and she's on the Wrath of the Lich King login screen, and she's all like,
Damn, that's kind of cool.
Neltharion retreated to his lair as his body began to crack from the overwhelming sheer power he now possessed.
Wow.
Magma and fire flowed from his chest, and his eyes burned with flaming red.
His own power to kill him.
His goblin and Drogbar slaves crafted him adamantium steel plates and bolted them to his body
To keep
stop
him
from
together?
splitting apart from the raw power he now possessed.
What? Bro had to get bolted up just to keep himself not from splitting in half.
The end of all things. Inevitable, indomitable. I am the Cataclysm.
That is fire. But I'm pretty sure he gets bodied.
Okay, so for the rest of Deathwing's lore, I'm only going to be focusing on the essentials of his story, because it's a lot. Okay, so after
Fair.
Deathwing's transformation, the Dragon Soul was renamed into the Demon Soul, and Malfurion teleported into
Hey,
his
yo!
body, and he stole it. Then Illidan and Ajara's army stole it from Malfurion.
Oh,
and
God.
they tried to use it to open up a portal for the Burning Legion within the depths of the Well of Eternity. But
Okay.
then the spell was disrupted and reversed, and the portal started
Bro.
to suck up all of the demons out of Azeroth.
No
and the
frickin'
Sundering,
shot.
AKA the world being split apart. As this is happening, the Demon Soul is falling into the Well of Eternity, but then suddenly Nozdormu from the future appears and grabs the Demon Soul.
From
He
the
turns to
future?
camera, and he gives a cheeky wink, and then he teleports out of existence. After the Sundering is over and the world is split,
Oh,
future
yeah, 'cause he
Nozdormu
can see-
pops
he
back
can see
into
all the time.
existence again, and gives the 4 other aspects the Demon Soul, and they put a spell
To
on
use-
it to prevent Deathwing
Oh,
from
no.
using it, and then they hide it
Oh, to
in the
prevent him.
earth under Red Ridge. Meanwhile,
Interesting.
after surrendering, Deathwing returns to his lair to find out his slaves have started an uprising, sparked by
Against
a
him?
named Holden High Mountain. So he leaves and takes a long nap inside of Deep Home. Thousands of years pass and the dark portal
Wow,
opens
so he
and
just
orcs
left.
are pouring into Azeroth and the first war begins. Deathwing awakes from his slumber and disguises himself as a human noble and a Blackrock orc and spies on both sides of the war and kind of just hangs out. The orcs win the first war, and during the
Dude is just like the ultimate op, bro.
second war, Deathwing finds the demon soul. Turns out trying to hide it from Deathwing, the aspect of the earth, by putting it in the earth is not a good idea. Problem is, Deathwing himself can
Dude, I'd get it if like somebody like me didn't think of that. Like, oh, let's not hide on Earth because he like rules the Earth. But bro, like them, they didn't think about that. Come on.
placed on the artifact. So Deathwing grants magic convenient visions to Zolthred the Whacked, chieftain of the Dragonmaw Orc clan, and leads him to the
Okay.
demon soul. These orcs then kill the red dragons protecting the artifact and claim it as their own. And the orcish warlock Necro Skullcrusher wields it.
It gets stolen, doesn't it?
You've got mail.
Deathwing sends Necros more magically convenient email dream visions on how to use the demon soul.
Oh no.
Orcs use it to enslave Alexstrasza and her red dragonflight. They imprison the Dragon Queen
That's kinda
in the
crazy.
abandoned dwarven city called Grimpatol. The Dragonmaw clan then use the red dragons as mounts to fight against the Alliance and force Alexstrasza to make more eggs in her imprisonment. Despite this, the Horde still loses the war, and the majority of the orcs fled back into the Dark Portal, and Deathwing follows them. He strikes
Gotcha.
a deal with the orcs and offers them some black dragon children in exchange for safe passage into Draenor. They agree, and Deathwing flies to Gorgron and has a secret lair
What is
with
he
a bunch of
planning,
black
though?
dragon eggs.
You know?
Gron and the ogres living there did not like their territory being invaded, especially
Understandably.
and Gruul. Gruul teams up with Khadgar, Turalian, and Illyria.
Oh, they actually
Gruul are
fight?
also on Draenor, and they fight Deathwing, and Gruul impales a bunch of black dragons on spikes around the zones,
Dude's
granting
like,
him the title, the Dragon
maybe I
Killer.
shouldn't have done that.
Deathwing said,
Nah, I'm out.
and flew back to Azeroth, where he got into another fight with mages from Dalaran and faked his own death by falling into the sea. Meanwhile, back on Draenor, Ner'zhul opened up a bunch of portals which led to the world being destroyed and turning into the Outlands. The remaining black dragons on Outland were twisted by the magic and turned into nether drakes. Deathwing then infiltrated the Alliance again as a noble named Lord Deval Prestor, but he was pretty sussy to the other nobles and the Kirin mages, and he didn't end up doing much. The three
Yeah, what is his like ultimate goal here? Just to get the thing back?
remaining aspects, Malagos, Ysera,
The Dragon
and
Soul?
Nosdormu, helped
And
free
Soul Dragon?
Alexstrasza from Grimpatol, and with the help from a human mage named Ronan, he destroys the demon soul, which grants all of the other aspects full power once again, and Deathwing fled deep home into hiding again. Classic WoW comes out, and
Yeah.
Deathwing's children Onyxia and Nefarian are causing trouble in Azeroth.
He had children?
Onyxia disguises herself as Katrina Prestor, and no one bats an eye that she has the same last name as that sussy guy that tried to infiltrate the Alliance beforehand. Nefarian has
Bro, that is so funny. World of Warcraft is so funny to me because I make it so obvious, but no one
a lair in
notices.
Blackrock Mountain, where he's working on experiments to make a dragonflight that can really taste the rainbow, and he's combining all of the dragons together to make the chromatic dragonflight.
Ooh.
But both of them are defeated.
So that's what he's
Random
up to.
side tangent
Oh,
here.
wow.
One of Nefarian's creations was a 5-headed dragon called Chromatus.
Yeah.
Nefarian died before he could give this abomination life, but later
Damn.
the cultists empowered it in the book Twilight of the Aspects. Now, Chromatus only makes an appearance in this book and almost single-handedly kills the other aspects and is literally indestructible. Despite this, Chromatus is defeated, but
Ow.
he doesn't die. So he was thrown inside of an arcane prison. So perhaps, maybe in the future, we will actually see him in-game. Side tangent.
Wow, okay, that's cool. I actually hope so.
Onyxia and Nefarian
I would love
mother
to see
and
that.
Deathwing's baby mama is a black dragon named Sinistharia, also known as Sinestra, who hates Deathwing and wants to make her own dragonflight. She goes to Outlands, steals some nether dragon eggs, and flies to Grimpatol and uses the shards from the demon soul that I guess were just left on the ground.
Are you
to
serious?
create the Twilight Dragonflight. But actually, Deathwing planted this idea to make the Twilight
Oh.
Dragonflight in her mind because
It was all a part of his plan.
writing. She is killed by her own experimental children and is later
Wow.
resurrected by Deathwing, and oh my god, this plotline sucks. Thousands of nerds stand outside of game stores midnight, December 7th, 2010.
For what?
when the Cataclysm expansion drops.
Oh.
World of Warcraft Cataclysm, let me hear it! Cataclysm! Cataclysm!
Meaning Deathwing has awoken once again. He erupts out of the earth, which tears a rift
And then we
between
watch
Azeroth
these.
and the elemental planes, causing natural disasters all around the world. The Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor are revamped, yada yada yada. and Deathwing gets punched in the face by a dwarf. Later
Nice.
in Twilight Highlands, Deathwing gets in an epic fight with Alexstrasza, but it's also an in-game cinematic from over a decade ago with no sound effects whatsoever. So you get this awesome scene. Oh wow!
I like this dude's videos.
Oh, wow, that's so epic. Alexstrasza loses the battle, but Deathwing is wounded and flies away. Later in the expansion, the aspects regroup. Kalecgos is now the blue dragonfly aspect, and Thrall is in place of the earthen aspect. They decide that if they are ever going to defeat Deathwing, they are going to need to obtain the Dragon Soul in its purest form.
Why did I really not know that about Thrall?
Before they do that, they go to the future to deal with Murozond, like I mentioned earlier in the video. In this hypothetical future, Deathwing became so powerful, his body started ripping apart at the seams, and since the world was fully dominated by the old gods, he was no longer useful to them. So
Wow.
they mind-controlled him and forced him to impale himself.
Oh,
on the
damn.
circle, which, god damn, that is bad.
Yeah.
Okay, now with Murozond,
Yeah.
we can travel back in time to the War of the Ancients.
So wow,
get
he's
the
just
demon/dragon
dead.
soul, and then travel back to the present time and start the Dragon Soul raid, the last raid in the Cataclysm expansion.
Gotcha.
Okay, so the actual Dragon Soul raid gets ragged on a lot by the player base by being pretty meh gameplay-wise, but there is absolutely no denying that Deathwing's death at the end of this raid is the coolest death of any villain ever in the Warcraft universe.
I can't comment on it because I haven't seen all of them, but
aspects, and then Thrall shoots a giant laser beam at Deathwing, and then
Oh,
you
shit.
get to go on an airship and parachute onto Deathwing's back, and then you rip apart the plates.
You
holding
have
it
a
together,
fight
and
on
then
his
Thrall
back?
Shoots another laser beam at
that
him,
is
which
cool.
makes a giant hole in his chest, and he falls into the Maelstrom, a swirling vortex where he originally birthed from, and the same place where he first betrayed his friends. And as this
Damn.
giant dragon
Full
is
circle.
clinging on for dear life, fire and magma spewing all over.
Your
his
armor means
broken
nothing, your
body,
faith
you
even less.
slowly help push him down, and then finally, Deathwing is defeated by Thrall shooting another giant fucking laser beam.
Oh, wow.
Where are you
But it's not over yet.
With Deathwing defeated, the Aspects had fulfilled their purpose of defending Azeroth, and the powers granted to them by the Titans was fully expended. After the Cataclysm, it was now the Age of Mortals. It was up to the people of Azeroth to defend the planet from future threats. But this
Nice.
does not mean that the Aspects are powerless, but they are mortal now, and are not nearly as powerful as they once were. Even after
Makes
the
sense.
Cataclysm expansion, we still see them involved in Azeroth's conflicts.
Nice.
Like when they empowered the Heart of Azeroth in Battle for Azeroth. As for the Black Dragonflight, there is an extremely small amount left on Azeroth still alive, and there's an even smaller amount that isn't corrupted by the old gods. Wrathion, the Black Prince, is
Damn.
one of these black dragons who is trying to restore his flight's name.
Anduin, it's been so long.
Oh,
And that
Damn.
is really everything you need to know about dragons in Warcraft.
did he
Of course,
deserve
there
that
are
though?
Some smaller details I brushed over, but maybe we can talk about those in another video. And no, wait, we are not done. You know these
Oh.
Dragonspawn guys? You want to know the lore behind them? None. Literally none. This is all that's on their Wowpedia page, and they became this way from hanging out with dragons. And what the hell does that even mean? You also got the Draconid, who
That's
are half
funny.
man, half dragons, who are empowered by the flights they serve, but also they became this way just from hanging out with dragons. Again, what does that even mean? You got
Bro, I'm gonna start
dragons,
hanging out with
huge mess
dragons.
With dragon spawn. Stone drakes. These are actually elementals and not dragons. Storm dragons. These are storm dragons. I don't need to explain them. And you have storm drakes. These are another type of dragon that lives in Stormheim that just also exist and
Yeah,
barely relate
fair.
to anything I've talked about for the last 30 minutes.
Damn.
That's everything you need to know about dragons.
Shout out to Platinum World of Warcraft. I'ma subscribe, I'ma like, as y'all should do. But hey, if you guys did happen to enjoy my reaction, like I said, please check out his channel before you subscribe to mine. So if you're not subscribed to him, don't subscribe to me, man. Y'all gotta subscribe to both of us. But hey, if you guys did happen to enjoy, please do make sure to like and subscribe. I have so many World of Warcraft reactions I know you guys would love. And I have my first episode of my gameplay out now, but I think the rest of it I'm just going to stream. I just want to see how many people would like to see me play. And yeah, it seemed like a decent amount. So they will be available on YouTube even after, and I'll keep adding the live streams to the playlist. So yeah, the playlist of my gameplay will probably be the best place to catch up, or just turn on notifications and you can watch me play live. But yeah, see you guys next time. Peace.